Oblivion has tons of ways to beat the main story, using only restoration and even without killing anything, but what if you wanted to try magic out? But what if your mana to cast spells didn't replenish, making you pick and choose what you could fight in order to complete the quest? Today I'll be answering the question of can you beat Oblivion as an Atronarch, a spellcaster with a high mana pool but no way to get it back normally. And as an added challenge, I can only use magic to deal damage. No frenzy, no invisibility, just my spells. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. With that being said, let's get into it. Every challenge needs a protagonist worthy of the role, and this time it's no exception, so I make someone who screams hero. Her name is Plastic Milk, and she's the prettiest lady in all of Cyrodiil. Don't laugh. The usual suspects come into my cell and allowed me to follow them into the secret hideout, and after hearing them say that emo music was dead, I split off from the group and started to fight some rats. It's not a phase, Mom. I'm 26 and this is just who I am. But interrupting my midlife identity crisis, this tutorial section was so much easier when you can actually kill things. For once, I feel like I have the upper hand in these challenges. Rats and goblins be damned, Plastic Milk is coming through and she's hungry for flesh. After reuniting with the homies, I get asked for my star sign, and this is where the challenge actually begins. See, the Atronarch sign makes it so you have a higher base mana pool, but you can't restore magic naturally. But by taking performance enhancing drugs that we'll be calling potions for legal reasons, you can restore mana. But the Atronarch sign also gives you a 50% chance to absorb any spell cast against you and turn it into mana as well. Meaning you're encouraged to stand still and eat spells thrown at you. What could possibly go wrong here? A few moments later, and now I get to make my class. I choose Intelligence for more mana and Endurance for more health, because even though that's my main stat, it will always feel like I'd never have enough. For minor skills, I go with Alchemy to make potions, Heavy Armor to not die, Destruction Magic for the main source of damage, Restoration for heals, Conjuration as a throwaway because I don't ever use it, Mercantile for better prices, which also didn't get used, and Mysticism because YOLO. Some of these skills may have helped me in the future, but that's future Chris's problem, not mine. Further in, Uriel gave me some jewelry and then promptly got assassinated. I got told I was the only one who could find his heir and then breezed through the rest of the tutorial. But goblins and rats aren't any challenge, and soon I would find this out the hard way. Once outside in the real world, I went to Skingrad to grab my main source of damage, the weak fireball spell. I asked pretty nicely to join and then asked if they had a task for me to do. Turns out there was an apprentice who no one seemed to like that had gone missing, and because they could not be bothered to go save him from a cave full of zombies, they gave me the weak fireball spell and sent me on my way. I hope Earthorn made it out alright because I was off to Kvatch. Kvatch had the usual scenery, frightened citizens, demons from another plane of existence, and guards who couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Without hesitation, I jumped into the Oblivion gate. This wasn't my first rodeo, but this is where I ran into some trouble. Daedra have a resistance to fire. Who would have guessed? So I had to use Cold Touch to fight them, but this wasn't that bad. I was taking damage from their melee attacks, but at least I could kill things with my new ice prowess. I raced through the rest of the gate drinking potions to offset my low health or topping up my mana, and only killing what I had to conserve on resources. But in the end, I closed the gate and returned outside. Once I was back in the real world, I watched as the guards cleaned up the streets of Kvatch and told Boromir that he needed to come lead a cult of samurais. He was more than willing to join, so we hurried back to get Joffrey and found the place was being attacked. We killed some rival gang members, but they had stolen my jewelry that Uriel left for me. After accepting losses, we rode to the cult of samurais and I listened to Boromir give the worst speech ever. After the induction, I was told to go meet up with Boris and help him with a mission he was doing. I went over and helped him deal with a personal stalker, only to find out that the guy who had stolen Uriel's necklace was actually part of a book club. Boris's stalker had one and apparently I needed 3 more. I went in and talked with a gecko to get the second one, and then harassed some poor bystander to get the third book. The third book contained instructions on how to join a super secret slumber party, so Boris and I went in place of Gwyneth, who was holding the third book, to see if we could get in on the action. The meeting was butchered horrendously. We rushed to the guy with the 4th book, and luck be on our side, we took him down, but Boris also went down in the process. Having my 4th book, I ran through some sewers and returned to my gecko friend. It took him 3 days and 3 nights to decipher the script, but after waiting in the main city until noon, I found a map detailing exactly where the slumber party would be held. I've never been this excited for a slumber party before. But as excited as I was for the slumber party, I forgot to prep beforehand, and after talking with some members and donning my armor, I didn't expect the torment that waited for me in this room. See, normally I would have prepped some spells or magic potions or just better gear, but I strolled right in there figuring I could absorb all the spells cast at me and free the iguana sacrifice they had down there. But on normal difficulty, this iguana wasn't OP like he is on max difficulty. After some boomer finished his talk about the golden days, I sprung into action, but I died a lot. I was able to kill other partygoers, but fighting the whole room was a losing battle. And even when I freed the iguana, he would take down a few of them before being overwhelmed. However, sometimes I was able to get a statue to break apart and fall on people, thinning out the crowd. But another problem presented itself. The exit to this place wouldn't open unless one of the people inside opened it. But no one had a key I could loot, so getting the iguana to live, fighting off the whole room of spellcasters, and getting out through the exit was a bit of a challenge. But luckily after a few attempts, the stars aligned and I ran as fast as I could, making it back up to the surface. After reporting back on my slumber party shenanigans, I got told about spies in our midst. One had the audacity to just hang out in front of our stronghold, but the other was in town somewhere. I talked to the head of the guard about suspicious people, but he didn't seem to know anything, so I did the only logical thing and went door to door, which worked. So just remember, if someone comes up to your door trying to sell you something, they're probably just looking for a cultist spy. After the guards murdered the spy, I reported back in only to be sent right back out again for a Daedric artifact. Luckily, I had just the one in mind, and this time when I got to the Shrine of Azura to commune with the deity, I killed a nearby will-o-wisp and made my offering. No scrounging through merchants this time. Now, I was pumped for this vampire den I had to go clear out, but not abusing stealth and frenzy proved to be way harder than I had imagined. The first vampire went down with minimal effort, but the next two required being led outside and having nature deal with them. But the last two, my god. One, I could just cast Fireball and job done. The next had to be dragged all the way to Oblivion and lured into lava to die. It was a huge pain, but I got my artifact. Once back with the homies, I was told that because of my heroic prowess, I was able to take Bird and the guards from Bruma to show them how to close gates by themselves. I went over, met with the team, and went straight to business. And this was by far the easiest Oblivion gate I've ever had to close, because Bird didn't go down once. Yes, we may have lost the other guards at the beginning, but that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the fact that Bird and I swept through the plane of Oblivion, smacked some Daedra, and closed the gate. My job here is done. Next on my quest to gather materials was Tiber Septim's Arbor in Sancre-Tor. Now, Sancre-Tor and I have a very complicated history. During the Restoration Only run, it was a breeze. During the no-kill run, this area nearly killed the run. However, I am pleased to report that this particular challenge flourished inside Sancre-Tor. See, the ghosts all use magic, and because there's so many attacks happening that don't deal very much damage, the spell absorption is through the roof. Not only that, but since I only have to kill the skeletons and none of the ghosts, that means I can get fully charged of mana and vanquish the skeletons all with the ghosts' help. The only hard part about this area was the slight confusion I got when following the waypoint. Other than that, I was in and out in about 5 minutes. This was by far the easiest part of the run, and I feel like this is my reward for doing the no-kill challenge. Next up was Mizcaran, and this had the Greater Welkinstone. And for the most part, this was very similar to Sancre-Tor, only I didn't have to actually kill anything, so I was able to run past the goblins and skeletons and undead. I did run into a few delays when trying to figure out how to open certain gates, but all in all, it was nothing too difficult. Until that is, I got to the Major Welkinstone. Now, when you find the Greater Welkinstone sitting on its pedestal, if you pick it up, a lich will spawn. And so will several undead. Once this happens, you have one of two ways of dealing with the encounter. You can either kill the lich and take the key and leave, unlocking the door if you don't have lockpicks, Or if your lock-picking skill is high enough, you can actually just pick the door and leave the area. You don't have to fight anything. That is if you can find the door. See, in the room where the battle takes place, there are 2 doors that are out in the open. Going up to either one of them is a high difficulty rating, and with only 12 lockpicks, I must have reloaded about 20 times trying to pick the locks. When I attempted to fight the Lich, not only did I succeed in killing it, but I also succeeded in getting frustrated because the key doesn't work on either one of these doors. I checked the wiki to make sure I was doing everything right because I had done this in the past and I had no idea why I was struggling so much. Then, in a stroke of pure luck, I stepped on top of a plate and voila, the door that the key actually goes to was revealed, hidden away in a secret chamber. After feeling like a major dum-dum, I made my way back to Boromir and we could finally commence to the final act of the run. First, I had to go talk with the Queen of Bruma and recruit some additional help, and then I came back to the front lines. Watched as Boromir gave another shitty speech, and then we went to war. This was actually kind of stressful. See, Boromir can actually die during this fight, and if so happens, then you lose. It didn't happen on the no-kill run, and it didn't happen on the restoration-only run, but before the major Oblivion Gate rose, our entire army was pretty much in shambles. I didn't think we had very many people left, and I was taking a big risk by running straight into the gate because I didn't know if we had any way to fight any opposition that would come out of it at the end. But once inside the major Oblivion Gate, I was trying to retrace through the area, but I couldn't remember. I got lost a couple of times, but all in all, made my way to the end of the Oblivion Gate with little to no effort. Shut it down and returned outside to see our homie Boromir fighting off the last of the Daedra. Operation successful. Time to move on to the part that I was dreading the most. Paradise and Mankar Cameron. See, Paradise wasn't the issue. I breezed through that, freed some crazy demigod in the cave, and even got lowered into lava. I got lost in the cave network for a while, but emerged outside. I even fought some of Mankar's kids to see how the damage was, and I was surprised that I could actually fight them. Moving inside, I expected the fight to be a breeze, but boy was I wrong. This fight took ages. Mankar Cameron has Spell Absorb, Reflect, and can summon in help. I was doing alright damage to him, but when his children came back, that's when the fight basically turned into a Scooby-Doo chase. I had plenty of mana through the fight, but because I had to split the damage, this fight went on for way too long. Somehow during the fight, Mankar's staff must have run out of juice because he resorted to just punching me. But without the staff, his damage was significantly less. I tried to stay as close as I could to him so his kids had a chance of hitting him, but they were magically accurate at only attacking me. After an entire hour of doing this fight, I was finally thrown a bone. While backing up from Mankar, his AI bugged out and I was finally able to kill him and steal back my necklace. I could finally beat the game. After Paradise broke, I returned outside to talk with Boromir. He said he was being made king, so I went to his induction, but through the ceremony, the Daedra attacked once again. I ran past the Daedra, past the Titan that appeared in the city, and raced inside the final room, where Boromir took the necklace and turned into a dragon, killing the bad guys and finishing the game. Not gonna lie, this run was awesome. Being able to kill things again was refreshing, and having to rethink how to work around combat situations while not abusing invisibility was tough. I appreciate all of you that stuck through to the end again, and if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you have any recommendations, make sure to tell me in the comments below. With that being said, I'll see you in the next one.